Now let's answer the question, just what do we get for our money by upgrading to SQL Server 2008, which will then give us Reporting Services 2008? Well, there's a lot of things that have changed, and I'm going to break these into 3 sections. And let's first talk about authoring reports. So when we're developing our reports, one of the first things you're going to notice if you've been using this for a while is that there is a new chart data region that gives you more advanced charting. Now, with more advanced charting, we have the ability to basically use multiple chart areas. We can have calculated series, a bunch of other functionalities that you'll see. And this next one is really cool, and that is we now have a gauge data region. And if you've ever played with Dundas gauges, it's D-U-N-D-A-S, but they have now included some Dundas gauges in here. And you can actually create a dashboard, and a lot of management people really like this because now it looks kind of similar to a gas gauge or a speedometer or a tachometer. We can actually show them linear gauges and radial gauges with little needles and flashing lights and stuff that they can see just more visually what's going on. Gauges are really cool. We'll play with some of those. You'll like them. We have also something new that's called a Tablix data region. Now, a Tablix data region kind of combines the table data region and the matrix data region. And if you've used this before, you know the power in that matrix data region, and this kind of merges that with the table. So we'll play with that. You'll like it. They have enhanced the text box. So when we drag a text box onto a report now, it now supports rich text formatting, HTML. It gives us a little more functionality in our browser access to reports. And so that's kind of cool. A number of report designer improvements have been made. Now all the report information is on a single page. You have a lot more precision over the report layout. If you've ever had problems with trying to get the layout just like you wanted it, you're going to see it's a little easier, a little more efficient, better ways to do things in Reporting Services 2008. Now when we talk about managing the reports, once we've built them, we now use SQL Server Management Studio a lot more to carry out things like configuring report server properties, managing our scheduled jobs, enabling various report service features. So you'll start to see more of reporting services show up out there in the Management Studio as opposed to just going through the browser to manage reporting services. You also have an improved report manager which you'll look at and play with. There's now a reporting services configuration manager that we're going to use to set various features and functionalities and properties out there. Service accounts that are used. We can define settings for the web services that are used. We can work with our URL endpoints, our report server databases, just all kinds of things, and it all comes to this one tool, so it's very easy to go through it and get it right. Now when we're processing reports, there were some big changes here. First of all, we have improved rendering for Excel and comma separated value reports. This was a big deal, especially going back to the first version of reporting services. You could render them into Excel, but they might do bizarre stuff sometimes. You'd have to go hack around in Excel to try to get things to look right. They've improved that quite a bit. This is a big one. You can now render to Word. And in Reporting Services 2008, I can render a report into a Word document, and this is compatible with Word 2000 and later, which is huge. And so to be able to give somebody a Word document, it makes it a lot easier for printing and managing for them. We also picked up improved memory management, so you're going to notice especially that large and more complex reports are handled a lot more efficiently. You're going to see more consistent paging across various formats. Now this was another issue. If I gave you a report that you called up in the browser, and I also provided a PDF rendering on that, sometimes the paging wasn't consistent across those formats, and they've improved that quite a bit. And the last one's a shocker. IIS is no longer required. Now this functionality is still taking place, but you don't have to install IIS to get this thing going. Now with Internet Information Services being eliminated, there are a number of benefits. easier configuration because some of your IIS settings for other applications affect the reporting services and vice versa. They have combined a bunch of the services into one. There's a lot less deployment obstacles out here. And so the bottom line, and I'll just leave this to you, use this as an excuse to go get out on the internet and do some more reading and investigating, but you no longer have to install IIS to get reporting services working. So anyway, just be aware of that. It's kind of big news. So anyway, that's a real quick overview of what's new in 2008. And if you've been using prior versions, you're going to notice some cool stuff as we dig into this thing and start to use it. So anyway, there's a quick list of what you've got to look forward to in 2008.